Giving you a round of applause here, Robert.
Just adjust the mic around. Okay.
Unfortunately, something I didn't plan on reading. One paragraph. Some called Red Locks, originally titled Fertilizer. At the Grand Arch marks the Grand Arch, which marks the entrance to Steinway and Thunder, New York, he thought he was only a parental time. He already knew what was in there, and entered with a free thought this time, to find himself in that small space like an elevator. Through his left was a door, and he passed through that through. One grand canal looking for him, and beyond a black movement of stone. At the far end of the room, on the floor above, was a balcony stretching from end to end to his right and left. In order to avoid a confrontation with the salesman, he turned to the bottom of the long, narrow stairs and looked up at them. About halfway was a lamp. With all his youthful energy, he took the steps 3 and 4 at a time and paused there on the lamp. I see you, piano, said the day of sailboat that left, raised below the gigantic chandelier, which had not seen so long. He imagined it alongside the name, and that it alone was responsible for whatever light there was in the chamber. He took the rest of the stairs through the balcony and looked around. The entire front of the showroom, 1857 was a wall of glass upon which the activity of the its motion of light and electric fire shared as a reflection of the chandelier and a distorted view of
Extra book.
All right. You didn't want to use the mic? Just ask.
I didn't even think that.
Oh, okay. You want to do it on the mic?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because I think. Oh.
That on that clock there.
All right. Yeah. All right. Give him a round as he comes up. We should have. I thought we didn't want to do it, but then I thought, oh well, if we couldn't hear you, then we couldn't hear you. So I'd like to be able to.
That's why you tremble. Imagine it's just round.
Yes, we know that you are earth shaking. There we go. You were all right. Close to the mic.
Someone's reading. Would you take your phone outside and show some
He took half the balcony and a light trot to the center, where, hidden from the street behind the great chandelier, was a corridor that led to the back of the company, away from all through which he had just passed. He faced the corridor, at his back towards the street and the daylight. At the end of the corridor were the French doors, illuminated by a light from the room beyond. Already, he could vaguely hear the music without distinguishing what it was. On either side of the corridor, he saw a series of smaller French doors, the only light coming from the chandelier, until at the end of the hallway, a white light which touched the floor outside the room from which the music was coming. He began a slow approach towards it. That's all.
Thank you so much. There we go. Robert, thank you. Might make sure you got on that mic. Don't be shy. We like you. All right, so let me read the next 5 who are coming up. We have Owen, then Romy, then... I can't read this because I don't have my glasses.
Karen,
and then Stephanie Manning, and then...
Heidi.
Heidi. You are new, right?
Yes.
So when she comes up, remember she's a new person, so we will give her the treatment as we like to call it. All right. Owen Dunkel, why don't you come on up and give him a round of applause as he does that. Owen Dunkel in the house. All right.
Owen.
All right.
Okay, Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Yes.
To a land of Oz. Black sand evolving to an arrow blue sky, piercing Brobdignagians disguised as dwarfs, signal each other to race like boy and girl towards the elegant, commanding, always insistent surf, corroding, whispering, and frolicking towards the fascination of our cathedral of plenitude. Black sand reaching, reacting with deep longing fingers to forgive another sleight of hand love affair with nothing. Not even the air we weave our arms about in the jaunty ablutions of our devil-may-care catharsis of nothingness. Nothingness we forget to remember with all the love and joy we gracefully refuse to turn our backs on. Chirps ashore, living nature of will slipping and gambling towards a provocative Old Testament. As I forget the windy soul of the villanelle, I forget buzzing and banging in and out of loose shutters. Lord Winter. Winter, that drunk old lord, comes in November to fill its cup. Leaves fall before its sword. 2. A bleak denouement, a fat old gourd. Pebbles tenderize, look up to winter, that drunk old lord. 3. A salty tale that brandishes its reward. Plants drink their false up, leaves fall before its sword. 4. We are the unison of a quiet accord, a sorrow like a frozen syrup of winter, that drunk old lord. 5. Like a scent of summer that roared its sunsets and devilish pup, leaves fall before its sword. 6. Evening passes us a fretful chord as hearts stand the season up to winter, that drunk old lord, leaves fall before its sword. After reading Joyce, I slogged out of the library elevator, 5th floor like a reborn Hessian. Prayers, monastic, momentous admonitions, advice to go back to Mass in confusion. After the Holy Church turned its vibrator into the archway of a mosque, the facings and steeples stretched for all times. Chanting, chantuses, prayer wheel, and rugged apotheosis demand me, I pray back to him, my God. Orwell's ghost moves about in the castle of the evening shadows of my spirit with his stealthy out-of-body authority, like a great moral tiger that never quits roving around in its glittering eye to quell the great billowing cape of bauble and babble that he roars and preaches will turn my insides into the litter and humbug of coal dust. E pluribus unum. Fair Phoebus, sharp mind, follow me, a drunken oyster from pub to pub, down to scrub to prepare for the next day of the curious vacuum of consciousness we are investing in. Wall Street sharply climbs down a curious state of consciousness, like the wonderful state of the flagpole sitter gazing into the soul of fair Phoebus as we dare talk to Icarus. What was it like up there? Splendid. All the gaseous beauty and shade opened up like the night of her ruby lips. Or was it an internal sweat box full of lost souls and fruit flies, almost impossible for cool, quiet Morpheus to cast his wonderful, white-hot, starry cape shadow upon?
Thank you, Mr. Owen Dunkel.
Thank you very much.
Not only are you a great poet, but the camera loves you.
Camera love you. They're smiling over there. All right, so Romy, you're next. Come on up. And give him a round as he comes up, and we'll adjust everything. Cameraman. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good evening.
Just stay under the avoid the camera. That's it.
Since the theme of tonight is passing,
Say again?
the theme of
Passing.
tonight is
Yes,
passing.
passing. And that can mean in any
Yeah.
frame of that word, passing.
And also Dan is a political poet.
Yes, live it.
Good. Title of my poem is Death of a Psychic. The obituary in New York Times says that you foresaw your own death. Oh boy! And down below your name, millions of others in their homes or hospitals, still unknowing how they can buy their prescribed drugs. Death became your specialty. As the tarot cards you show to your many clients, that this time, the psych that the shadows carry are for the 22 million others who are poor, who will lose their Medicaid for in the years to come. In this country, the rich hated the poor with such venom that the hard-working blue-collar people resorted to prayers. Please, I don't want to get sick or injured, for such brings the curse of death. Now it is getting clearer by the minute, by the second. No ambulances or physicians to attend to those who are grasping for breath, beside cords connected to breathing machines. The heavy coat of prophecy that hung from your shoulders is coming season, especially winter, when darkness hide the bleeding sun and shadows gorge on smog in cold, unfurl their wings to wake you up, gasping, dampened bed. Once more there would be no prescribed therapies, no homilies, or psychiatric sessions, or even a hovering dove. For above, only the gray-coated senators and congressmen, bubbling in the mud of their obfuscation. The president without even a clue of what is going to happen. The denials or murky hunches that the CBO has statistics as handwriting against the wall, no graffiti, but just the same with flights of vision to extended horizon. And to live haunted by the knowledge of that year 2022, when you would stumble in your pajamas or bathrobe inside your cloud-flecked living room and lie down on the cold linoleum beneath that wide wings of the coming blood-drenched dome. Thank you.
Thank you, Romy. Thank you. I like that clear and deliberate delivery. And now we're going to have Karen Hubb, who hasn't been here in a while. Welcome back, Karen. Karen, we're managing the
Hugging Greg, that's my whole
David, have I thanked you?
Thank you.
Not really too much.
That's why I like you. All right, there we go.
So, in terms of the theme, which I'm so clueless that I just found out, short story. 1970, my oldest daughter, who was just entering first grade, came to me and argued that she and her 5-year-old sister needed to go with us to the anti-war moratorium on July 4th in Phoenix because children were dying in Vietnam and children needed help. And so we went, and it was a very high point. There were 3 generations. There were us, our children, my mother, my stepfather. And when we came home, the adults were exhausted because this was Phoenix on the 4th of July. 5 minutes later, the kids are out playing, and we're just fagged out listening to Crosby, Stills, and Nash and drinking iced tea. The girls come running back in, and Chris, my oldest, runs up and says, Mommy, Mommy, did they stop the war yet? And I said, no, not yet. And she burst into tears and said, it didn't work. And somehow these last few months, I feel like we're doing this shit all over again.
Yeah.
Truth in springtime. Truth runs naked through fields of poppies, unashamed of cellulite, unembarrassed by stretch marks. And that tattoo from the night in Barbados with the sailor she thought she loved.
There we go.
Solutions. Solutions are so simple. I read them in pictures made of grounds from my cup of good Armenian coffee, inverted on the saucer, the way Sose's grandmother taught me years ago. I read them in the depths of a glass of Cabernet, swirled at just the right speed to duplicate the currents in Homer's wine-dark sea. Bring us all home safe to Ithaca. The monster's feet slap hard and horny, echoing from marble halls of sugar candy castles, where they fire little poison pellets into crowds of protesters, pellets that wriggle into brains, distort vision, so we believe he is the problem, she the stranger. They are ignorant. We cannot talk to them. The monsters feed upon the fear they create, grow huge and toxic in their glory. Pass the wine then. Whisper in your brother's ear, the child in that sinking boat? That's your child. Whisper to your sister, the way to care for homeless vets is to quit sending the flower of our youth to become killers. Quit opening wounds in their souls that will not heal. Whisper the word, Ubuntu, to every baby born. You are because we are. We do not need to compete. There is enough work that needs doing for everyone to have a job. Then go to Kickstart and ask for funds to produce gigantic erasers that will obliterate every line drawn on every map until people shake their heads and murmur, once people were so foolish they saw lines upon the earth. That was when the world was flat and men believed in politics.
Wow. Thank you.
I don't know what you're saying. Hey, I don't see your name.
Oh, sorry. All right, thank you, Karen. Wow.
I've been trying to not be political.
you know.
Well, you're failing terribly.
All right, so now we have this distinct pleasure of hearing from Stephanie Manning, the wonderful, amazing, happy, good, naturalist par excellence and more. Yeah, she knows how to do that, and just maybe.
It's nice to be back here. I really missed you guys.
We missed you.
So I've been working on a work project I had to do, not writing poetry, and to kick-start my brains to write poetry. I tried some forms, poetic forms.
Oh, nice.
So I want everybody to listen carefully to this poem, and whoever can name the form will get the Blackberry Award. And so here it goes.
Sonnet! Sorry.
You did? No. Not a sonnet.
Okay. Takes care of that.
Here go, but you are in the poem. Here goes. Dan Brady seeks the light so he can see and think and write. But sunshine eludes on this gray day. thoughts must wait to have their say, the sky be gray, the paper white. It seems that poets need to fight resistance so ideas can take flight. Their observations, potter's clay, Dan Brady seeks the light. So much to say the children's plight, so much to say the children's plight, so much to fix that isn't right. The rich must be coerced to pay for people that they cast away. Dan Brady seeks the light. Anybody?
Okay, that's like, not a Villanelle, right? He's
No.
It's not a quatrain.
I know who Dan Brady is.
Pantoum?
Closer. Closer.
Pantoum.
Almost.
Pantomime? Pundit?
No.
Pontificator?
Okay, nobody wins the grid. It's a rondo.
Oh! Okay, all right.
We're gonna try and write some more French style.
I haven't heard one of those in a long time. Not since I was drunk on the Muni District 5 years ago. No, that was yesterday.
Nowadays, if you got a computer, you can just go to the computer and ask for a description of almost any style of poem, and they got it. I thought I'd try some obscure ones, but anyway, I just want to read one more poem called San Francisco Night Windows by Robert Penn Warren. That guy lived 1905 to 1989. So hangs the hour like fruit full blown and sweet, our strict and desperate avatar, despite that antique westward gull's lament over enormous waters which retreat. Weary unto the white and sensual star, accept these images for what they are, out of the past a fragile element of substance into accident. I would speak honestly of a full heart. I would speak surely, for the tale is short, and the soul's remorseless catalog assumes its quick and piteous sum. Thank you, hungry is the city in the fog, where now the darkened piles resume their framed and frozen prayer, articulate and shafted in the stone, against the void and absolute air. If so, the frantic breath could be forgiven, and the deep blood subdued before it is gone, in a savage paternoster through the stone.
Nice. And I'm handing her the attribution sheet because she read something by somebody else.
Stephanie, can I announce that you're going to be featuring at La Promenade? Stephanie will be featuring at La Promenade. Oh, are we doing it together? Yeah. Stephanie will be featuring at La Promenade Cafe on this Saturday, July 1st,
2017, 7 p.m. Be there.
Balboa and 38.
Balboa and 38. Thank you so much. Bill Mercer's the co-feature.
Bill Mercer is the co-feature.
Great venue. Thank you. That was good.
Yeah,
You passed out the thing, but I didn't have a chance to read it.
No, it was fine.
All right. And now, just to let you know, when we have a new person here who's here for the first time, we raise a ruckus, we clap hands, make animal noises, and pound the table and stomp the feet so that they realize they're in the field of nuts. Or, no, that they are welcome. They are welcome. Heidi, come on up here, dear. Yeah.
The sort of thing that sends me rushing out of the room.
Oh, okay, everybody.
Thank you anyway. I thought that the feature was going to be reading poems from the mission, or was from the mission. Am I right?
Yeah, you're correct. He hosts the 16th
Anyway,
edition.
we are passing through town, more or less, from Seattle, and at one time I lived in the Mission District, and I wrote this song about that time, which I'm really happy it's passed. It's called Mission Rap. Are we ready?
Sure.
Okay. On Mission Street, any time of day, this is what you hear them say. Chiva, coca, do you want some? Chiva, roca,
Do you want some? No, sir. Going to Dolores when I get some more time. Hey, ho. Mission life is such a bore. Hey, ho. Mission life is such a bore. Back at the Hindu hotel, no smoking a fat, I think it to myself. Hey, ho. Mission life is such a bore. Hey, ho. Mission life is such a bore. Off to the shelter where I'm trying to snack. I'm gotta get in the crib, make something happen. Hey, ho. Mission life is such a bore. Hey, ho. Mission life is such a bore. Some people never make it out of here. Day after day, year after year. Hey, ho. Mission life is such a bore. Stuck behind door number 216 at the Altamont Hotel on Mission Street, where you can find anything you need for degradation and relief. Once a painter, I remember when canvas blank, now image under his skin, but in that white smoke, black tar, dragon dream, you can be anyone, you can do anything. Like a sailor caught on dry land, longing to be out on the sea once again, but in that white smoke, black tar, not a dream, you can't pretend it's the ocean that's rocking you to pieces for reasons I don't understand. Your self-portrait still hangs on my wall. I see your likeness in other faces, in places you would not be at all, 'cause you're stuck behind door number 216 at the Altamont Hotel on Mission Street, where you can buy anything you need for degradation and relief. I left out a verse, but on Mission Street, any time of day, this is what you hear me say. Chiva, Roka, do you want some? Chiva, Roka, do you want some? No, sir. Going to Dolores, gonna get some more time. Hey, ho, mission life is such a bore. Hey, ho, mission life is such a bore. Back at the Hindu hotel, smoking a fountain to myself. Hey, ho, mission life is such a bore. Hey, ho, mission life is such a bore. Back to the shelter where I'm trying to stack. I'm gotta get in the crib, make something happen. Hey, ho, mission life is such a bore. Hey, ho, mission life is such a bore. Some people never make it out of here, day after day, year after year. Hey, ho, mission life is such a bore.
We get surprised all the time.
Makes me wish I had talent. Yeah.
You should be quiet about that. Coming out your ears. Jack Melander is next, and then we have
David Foz.
David, is it David in her house? Okay. So you're after this guy. You're coming after him. Okay. Just so you know, I don't have my glasses, so I couldn't read. He's helping me out. You know, we're.
But I don't know how to read.
The best we can. I mean, he doesn't. You know, I'm teaching.
We're gonna have to make the sign
Okay, just get really close to the mic. There we go. Give him a round, please. This is Jack Melander.
It's called Diagnosis Commerce. How rare are members of the human race, so numerous, how strange or marvel be this creature in the individual, the wendings of whose musings who can trace? Yet who but smile the beamy heart to see that beats inside his feckless heaving skull, where all his composed imaginings inspired some clement deity, All man's creative gifts go long ignored. As shackled to machines he sadly sings, his synthesizing instincts atrophy, and this is what has Mother Nature floored. Man suffers from acute technocracy, recurrent plagues of jobsolescence, and citizen welfare myopia. He has no lesson learned from tragedy. Small preparation makes, should one have hence. He acts as if he lived in some utopia, and legendary feasts of self-delusion are bent his dazed attentions to divert from his own best, most crucial sake, to biz as ever. Let's avoid confusion. To foil the people's will, trade's air alert, can brook no lull in profits it would take to pay to keep a ready rescue fleet. And yet democracy might think that neat. This is called Thought or Feeling. How inspire the mind-locked, confrontative, analytic squint with warmth of thought? Sedentary hearts with vigors recreative, leaders with ideals that can't be bought. This is called Epic or Lyric. All kinds of good accrue to you when fears withstood with daring do. Much bigger win you stand to get when you give in and unloved bet. We thus find lust that's positive is stronger than the negative, hence comic versus lyrical are nobler than satirical. Ironic, tragic, epic gloom, such must for lyrics now make room. This is called Parents' Answer. My job made me near come unglued, from thence naught but ennui ensued. To medicate this dire effect, my parents' cure I did select. My off hours swam in cigs and brew, but after 20 years and 10, I've lived without those things again. For 10 more years, now to renew such pleasures, that I'd never do. I've a young friend whose fortune's dear, he has from her SSDI. At jobs to June need not appear, his days are free as summer sky. With such great luck, what does he choose to fill his time? But smokes and booze. At first he is just plain pugnacious, he likes to know a friend will fight. But afterwards he proved quite gracious, he sent him growling through the night on wild two-wheeler motorized, which ere did lassitude despise. I think what would become of me if I owned as much time as he, for I'm mad too, did fortune know it, could teach one how to be a poet. This is a couple of things by Gary Snyder. Revolution in the revolution in the revolution. The country surrounds the city. The backcountry surrounds the country. From the masses to the masses, the most revolutionary consciousnesses to be found among the most ruthlessly exploited classes, animals, trees, water, air, grasses. We must pass through the stage of the dictatorship of the unconscious before we can hope for the withering away of the states and finally arrive at true communism, communionism. If the capitalists and the imperialists are the exploiters, the masses are the workers and the party is the communist. If civilization is the exploiter, the masses is nature and the party is the poets. If the abstract rational intellect is the exploiter, the masses is the unconscious and the party is the yogins. And power comes out of the seed syllables of mantras. Gary Snyder. And one more thing by Gary Snyder. Yeah. Lou Welch was a friend of his, and he'd done himself in. He bought a guy's pistol and disappeared, and nobody ever found the body or anything. But this is called From For Lou. Lou Welch just turned up one day, live as you and me. Damn, Lou, I said, you didn't shoot yourself after all. Yes, I did, he said. And even then I felt the tingling down my back. Yes, you did too, I said. I can feel it now. Yeah, he said. There's a basic fear between your world and mine, and I don't know why. What I came to say was, teach the children about the cycles, the life cycles, all the other cycles. That's what it's all about, and it's all forgot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's better. Again, the attribution sheet, he'll indicate the poet and the poem so that I always do not have to write Charge of the Light Brigade by Lawrence Ferlinghetti's best friend's second-class neighbor from the 3rd grade. Well, yeah, see? The guy is just all over the place. Okay, so David is up. Get him out from Seattle, ladies and gentlemen. Passing through the town. A poet of note and merit, as we like to say.
Where are you from, David?
I'm actually from Tacoma, Washington, which is right by Seattle. That's why Heidi said Seattle, but it's actually Tacoma. And I didn't get the big build-up because I was here a year and a half ago actually reading a poem about Allen Ginsberg.
Oh,
and I actually lived up the street on the Panhandle up on Cole, so many years ago. But
that was before the change.
Yes, the many changes. Yeah. But I have a poem here about Tacoma, but it could be about any town in the USA, so it's called Scholars. The Great Library of Alexandria never revoked your card for not returning that Bobby Darin tape in 1996. The one that got shredded by your $19.95 Fred Meyer cassette player just as the final "Mackey's back in town" went swinging to its final climax. $1,643.50 in overdue fines? Where do they get off with this stuff? No, in Alexandria, the Vestal virgins of knowledge would bear figs and earthenware cups of medium-priced Merlot to the thirsty supplicants at the altar of worldly wisdom. A land where overdue fines are unheard of, as well as tipping. Today, I'm pretending to be a Chinese poet from the 8th century A.D., Tu Fu, on his perennial peregrinations of exile, as I bear my ragged backpack and my own scrolls of supplication on the long march from the rescue mission to the Department of Social and Health Services, trying to again convince the Confucian bureaucrats armed with Microsoft Windows 2000 that I'm still not ready to be a useful member of their society. Joining the other coolies in our Banshee whale, but our check was supposed to be here yesterday. A clear autumn day. As I descend the plateau, I can almost imagine I'm coming down Stone Mountain to the Imperial City. The effect is somewhat spoiled by the toxic smog spewing from the smokestacks of the tide flats. Even squinting really hard cannot transform them into ornate palaces shrouded in mist. So I hurry to my refuge, the Tacoma Public Library. I decided I feel French this morning, so I pulled a copy of Artaud, a biography of Balzac from the shelves, along with a compilation of surrealist writers and painters. Those upper-middle-class frog bastards, playing at disaster while their doctor and lawyer fathers pay for their fashionable flats. And there I sit, at the table, knobby orange library pencil poised in my fist over the 3x5 index card so generously provided, tortured expression on my face, in the vague hope that some trust fund college girl from the University of Puget Sound would mistake me for a beat poet in the midst of composition and adopt me for the semester. Meanwhile, my confederates from the mission have wandered in, each focused on their own particular studies. Some pull collections of Man Ray photographs off the racks. No need for internet porn when there's new pictures of Kiki of Montparnasse circa 1925. Some just pull stacks to the floor and construct pup tent-like structures which they then crawl into, evoking a sense of security and well-being otherwise missing in their lives. One guy can always be counted on to crouch in a corner, Phil K. Dick anthology clutched in shaking hand, and mutter loudly about a conspiracy theory involving George W. Bush, Saddam Hussein, Mariah Carey, and a large buttered artichoke named Leon. Some go to the bathroom, never to come out, bouncing back and forth off ceramic walls until the guards escort them out at closing time. The staff surveys all this with thin, downturned mouths, lips cracked from lack of saliva, for all the moisture-inducing mechanisms in their bodies have long since shut down, except for the production of bile, which they have in abundance. Memories flash through embittered brains, generally along the lines of the excitement they felt in the knowledge that they would be doing a great service to civilization when they proudly stood in the receiving line to accept their Master of Library Science degrees some 900 years ago. I know. I used to work with them. What is the use of all this goddamn literature anyway? Hell, I'm even nestled among them. My 6 pages in a 500-page anthology filled with the dribblings of 100 other losers who thought they were clever. 25 years in show business for that. I'm published by the same firm that does Bukowski. I used to say the women in bars. which goes a long way to explaining my 8 years of celibacy. What a lying son of a bitch Chuck was. And surveying the scene, I think maybe the Visigoths had it right when they put the entire shithouse up in flames 2,000 years ago. After all, we'll still always have Wikipedia. I just have a very short one. Up where I live, there's a poet named Paul Nelson who has decided that the Pacific Northwest, including both the United States and Canada, is a bioregion called Cascadia. And for the last 5 years, he's been doing a Cascadia Poetry Festival. He's set them like way up in an island, you know, in the North Pole in Canada, some in Seattle. This year they're having it in Tacoma, and the theme of this one is dedicated to Richard Brodigan, who actually lived in Tacoma for a few years when he was a very little boy. And so, and Michael McClure is going to come up and be the keynote speaker at the very end of the festival, because Paul and Michael have known each other for years. Anyhow, this is a poem entitled Richard Brodigan. "Is that you?" asked the little third-grade girl on the school playground where I had taken my 2-year-old daughter. She pointed to the cover of Trout Fishing in America, which I was reading while Hannah threw gravel at the monkey bars. It must have been my hair and the felt hat I was wearing. "Yes," I replied. "Yes, it is." And went home famous. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Wendy Walters is taking the stand next and testifying. And then it'll be me, and then we got Clyde Always, and we got the Charlie Getter, the feature of the evening. So give her a round as she comes up here and gets herself organized.
Is that good?
Is that good? Very good.
Wow.
That's a little difficult to follow. Wow. This is going to be much simpler. This is called Life's Satisfactions. Her hands reaching up toward the sky, she drinks the warmth of the bright sun flowing down her shoulders, into her arms, filling her whole being with exalted gratitude. The peace of comfort and safety, absent of time, unfolds in an instant. Patiently and tenderly, he speaks to the plants in a garden full of love life, splashing fountains of water onto the leaves, opening their tiny, happy mouths. They read stories, sing songs, tell jokes among themselves, and a few friends who happen to come along. Life's pungent satisfactions, steeping the senses, delighting the heart, connecting one to all, surely lift us up in magical ways. Why do they touch us so? What is it that we don't know? And must these moments come only to go? I've heard there are those who dwell in a place where there is no longing. Perhaps they are simple. Perhaps they don't assume. Perhaps their satisfactions are with them all the time inside.
So one day I was just sitting there waiting for a poem to come, and nothing came. And then I realized, oh, that's my poem. So, catching a poem. It's sitting on a shelf, waiting all this time, waiting to be known and sown, or rolling down the street past people, places, things. It's asking for attention so it can cease to roam. It's floating in the air. Can I see it? Can I hear? The music of my soul is there. It's deep inside my heart, a gift meant to be unwrapped. Let me catch a poem today, give it voice, find what it wants to say. last poem is called Homage to Indigenous Peoples Everywhere. Throughout the ages, native dwellers living close to the land, life's original citizens everywhere have encountered conquerors indifferent to their customs who have changed the face and essence of their very existence, uprooting, subjugating, and even annihilating them. Since my earliest years, I have felt an innate appreciation of the indigenous peoples throughout the world who first inherited Earth's natural resources and lived in relationship with them. Over time, I've learned it's one thing to care about something and quite another to do something about what one believes they care about. Things have changed a lot since long ago. The journey from mind to heart to feet is long, yet unavoidably imperative. What will become of the great gift of life expressing itself as humanity if we listen to the unenlightened ones who tell us progress is material wealth and power, which, without life-sustaining usefulness, only separates humans from the essence of their being and the future of their lives? What will become of the miracle of life giving itself to us if we listen to the ones who ignorantly or knowingly distract from the truth that progress is the evolution of the connectedness of every part to the whole, the unity of the earth and every life form in it, including all its peoples? Progress does not destroy through disregard of the laws underpinning life. It creates order and harmony. As wise leaders and visionaries have urged, it is a consciousness of we rather than I which makes it possible for life's natural diversity, that is the nature of life, to exist in relationship with the wholeness, the oneness of everything. This is what gives meaning to all it is and what progress is all about. Homage to indigenous peoples everywhere. May you forever teach me how to live better.
Thank you. Andy Walters, ladies and gentlemen. All right, as you might well be aware or not aware, it's my turn up here now.
Yeah, Brady.
I am, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing up my sleeves.
It's Dan's first time here, so let's give him a...
Who am I anyway? All right, so can I borrow your glasses really quickly?
No, we want you to do it by Braille.
As they say in France, sacre-bleu.
Yes, this is much better.
Although it doesn't do it. Here we go. So this has to do with the evening's theme, which is the word passing, which comes in many forms. And these two are short. This is a very short song, so I'm going to do that. It's not my song. Don't blame me. First poem is called Coverage. From our heartland, fields of corn and green wheat, outside his window near the high school, a small town boy, man, proud to serve, a stand-up guy, opened doors, prayerful and kind. He went to another world, a dusty, gray, and dying land. It was just another day. It was an abandoned pomegranate grove. In the photo, his blue eyes searched the sky. Huddled over his shredded legs, they told him, "You'll make it. It's okay. Look at me. Look at me." And it was this story about him, the long delay in its download due to an advertisement for a new car. The dust whipped up, a helicopter's shadow, its stark silhouette. It will take him to where he will die. And that one photograph they pause to look at on their cell phones, his final moment is the one photograph no one will see because no one will risk publishing. On Labor Day, in one town, one family has questions.
for the president. And again, we continue with the theme of passing. This is titled A, the letter A, then the word Graves, which could also be a name, and then Respite. So it's A, Graves, Respite. It is, a clever title there. Ignore that now. Plaques set so closely in the green by the walkway. Two young men stroll by, perhaps to see what they may. Stopping with a glance, they look down, nothing to say. Stone, deeply dappled, once quarried for a quay, make this graveyard's wall where an ant roves here today. At rest, all their bones lie in the earth's dark away. While summers buzz, I hear, this still August day. So this is a song that was written, there's a history to it. The words were not written by the musician, and the musician didn't know the person was going to write these words to it, and the writer is famous and the musicians are famous, but I can't remember who they are. So, with that caveat said, this is called Because We All Are Brothers, or you could read, wherever there's brothers, you can put sisters or parents or whatever like that. That's a song that can be done many ways. Because we all are brothers, wherever we may be, one union does unite us, forever proud and free. No tyrant shall defeat us, nor nation strike us down. All those who toil shall greet us, the whole wide world around. In family we're all lovers, forever hand in hand. Where strikes the bell of freedom, there is our promised land. My family's tears are my tears, yellow, white, or brown. My family's tears are my tears, the whole wide world around. Let every voice roll thunder, let every heart be one, until all tyrants perish, our work shall not be done. Let not our memories fail us, the lost ye shall be found. Let slavery's chains be broken, the whole wide world around. Thank you. I remember while I was singing it, that's the Diggers wrote that, or the words to it, and then it was set to somebody like Bach or Beethoven's piece, and so that's the Diggers song as I remember it now. The Diggers. And they were, they believed that if you could plant in the ground and grow your food, you should be able to harvest it. And not have to pay the landlords. Anyway, and the English then didn't like that and took care of it.
It was a harsh story, and they're still around actually. So,
not Clyde.
Let me see now. Who is
Clyde? Clyde always.
Oh!
Forgive me for forgetting. I'm going to put you on the list. You got to remember, don't let me forget, because you're just walking in there. All right, so now we have a surprise, not to me, not to several people here, not to himself even, the Clyde Always Show.
I had to do that even though Johnny Carson's long gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on, step right up, folks. Want to grab yourself a front row seat before the dawn of the going fast. You don't want to miss this. Here's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show. With me, you're always clever, always handsome, always charming host Clyde, always, and I ain't no common carnival barker, I am the Bard of the Lord. Hey, And this is Regan the Militant Vegan. You may have met on Hippie Hill a stinker named of Regan who'd always preach and blather shrill how much he was a vegan. Suppose you'd found a lump of meat, and kindly some extended, old Regan crush it neath his feet and lecture on offended. If cherished you a fancy cheese, some Gouda, Swiss, or Blue, or Regan dash and cheese he'd seize and toss it down the sewer. If had you honey in your tea and dared let Regan know it, as if avenging every bee right in your face he'd throw it. Now, Regan weren't no hypocrite, professed he on and over. As poplar bark he chewed with grit, and for dessert a clover. But now we picnic in the grass and pour a glad libation for Regan's absent, for alas, he perished of starvation.
The CEO's new brew. Once upon a happy Friday evening, the entire staff of a startup tech company were taken out for drinks by their boss. He'd chosen a bar at random, which was purported on the internet to cost no more than $2. Upon arrival, the CEO politely waved down the bartender in a delightful show of impatience and entitlement. When the first round was over, the CEO then proceeded to shove his brand new shiny corporate credit card across the bar and felt just a bit slighted when the bartender smugly pointed to the cash-only sign. After his swift return from the ATM, the CEO noticed within the beer cooler a bottle with loopy old German lettering on the label, and it was sealed with a fancy rubber doohickey on a metal hinge. Wishing to appear cultured in front of his employees, the CEO ordered this remarkable-looking beer, the name of which, unbeknownst to him, translated roughly to something along the lines of Sunday morning hooker snatch. He toasted his fellows on a successful quarter, then took a hearty sip, discovering that this beer tasted strongly of sweaty butt cheeks. Rather than send the beer back, he began to profess loudly to his colleagues just how very good he found this beer to be. Then, at his insistence, they all took a sip of the beer, each techie grimacing at its offensive flavor, yet wishing to placate their overbearing boss, all smacked their lips and agreed that it was perhaps the best beer they'd ever tasted. 2 weeks later, in a backwoods village in Germany, the brewer of Sunday morning hooker snatch, while excitedly waving in the air an order for 6 dozen cases of his beer, postmarked all the way from Sunnyvale, California, proclaimed to his wife and 7 hungry children that Zed would be needing a bigger bathtub.
You have 2 minutes.
Emoji OG. Now, it's natural we, in the age of computers, would crank out some memes and GIFs. So it follows that clever young text message shooters would forfeit their language for glyphs. If we're feeling a feeling which feels kind of happy, well, why not a smiley, we ask? But suppose we're expressing we feel kind of crappy, we'll send them that surgical mask. There's the pondering face if we're feeling confounded, or tongue out if feeling absurd. But the one that I've always severely thumbs downed, that buck-toothed bespectacled nerd. If our sweetie is pining for something romantic, the sparkling heart would be wise, though it's bolder to offer up something eggplantic, or pussies with hearts in the eyes. Now, emojis can sometimes be really quite vexing, for instance, the oncoming fist. When it's paired with the finger, it's hardly perplexing to guess that the sender is pissed. The obscurest of settings, both rural and urban, emojis for this and for that. Like the jet and the bomb and the guy in the turban, the snowman and cricketer's bat. Now, I'll likely be lumped with the grumpy old losers. You're welcome to growl and spit. But the one that I'd use for emoji abusers, that smiling pile of shit. Tune in next time for another episode of the Fire Overjoy.
He's usually a little wilder than that. All right, so now I get to do it.
I get to do my favorite part of the show, where I look someone in the eye in a public place and brag on them to the point where they, tell me to stop doing this. Charlie Yetter, a famed individual in the poetic scene of California and San Francisco. He will go down in history much to his chagrin and dismay for the things he said. Not to mention the things he's done, which I won't mention here because they're unmentionable. Colorful, but unmentionable. A funny guy, good sense of humor, a reciter of renown, repute, and demeanor. He has actually deportment and demeanor in his, when he dresses up in a tux, he looks really good. And the top hat, I remember that top hat, the tux and everything, it was like I was amazed. I didn't even know who he was until he started spouting the poetry. I go, oh, I know that voice. So, before your very eyes here, one of the stellar and central aspects of the 16th mission happening every Thursday at 9:30 until 10. 10 until whenever. And it's wild and it's crazy and it's been going on for how many years now?
14.
14 years. And I can remember when I was first there, which was not the first year, but I mean, that's a long time ago. And it shows on him, actually, in a good way. In a very, very good way. Notice that rescue shows a good way. So I'm going to have him come up here. I'm going to sit down there and give a big one for Charlie Getter, please.
Thank you so much. Yeah, tomorrow's our prom.
Oh my God!
We always have a prom every year. We did, you guys remember the Bay Area Guardian? That's that Bay Guardian. Greatest throwaway magazine ever. Made all the bird cages happy. It's long gone, but at one point I seen someone to work there, and she gave me the tip that we were going to win best